안녕하세요, 여러분. Hello, everyone. I'm Kat, and I've been studying abroad at Seoul National University for 1 year, and here are some things you should know about studying in Korea. Because I'm studying at Seoul National University, that is what I'll be focusing on, so these videos will be about Seoul National University and studying in Korea. If you want to study abroad elsewhere, then some things will be different. Even if you're also studying abroad in Korea at Hanyang University, some things might change, but overall, if you're studying in Korea, it should be approximately the same. This will be a series of videos. I don't know how many videos, but I will have a link to the playlist down below that will have information videos, and my experience, like my vlogs, will also be in there, as well as any other helpful videos that I find, so you can use that as a resource for your own study abroad experience, should you wish. This particular video is about applying for study abroad because that is such a big part of being able to study abroad. Please ignore my clothes. I'm in a goshiwon, something I'll get into later. My space is very small, and this is my closet. The number one step for studying abroad is to want to study abroad. So if you're thinking about studying abroad, check out your study abroad center and find programs that interest you. My home university is University of Arizona, and so that's what I'll be talking about here, and that's how I found my study abroad program. For University of Arizona, if you go to international.arizona.edu/study-abroad, I'll put that down in the description as well. You can find all of the different programs that University of Arizona offers with study abroad, and there are loads to choose from. When you get to the study abroad page, there's a click down menu that says I am a ... Make sure you choose prospective student. This will bring up a page with a bunch of information on it. Click around and find out everything you need to know before you move on, so that you can decide whether or not studying abroad is for you. And I do think study abroad is for everybody. You just need to find the right location at the right price point. But being able to get out of the country and study abroad is a really amazing experience, and I recommend it for everybody. Some requirements for studying abroad include a minimum GPA of 2.5. You need to be 18 years or older. You need to have completed 30 units by the time your study abroad will have happened. So you can't do study abroad as a freshman. I did it in my second year of University of Arizona. You need to maintain a full-time enrollment during fall and spring semester programs, 12 units per semester while you're studying abroad. This can be difficult. For me, I found it extremely difficult because Seoul대학교, the registration system for SNU, Seoul National University, is so difficult because you have to be right on time and click that button super fast. And if you're doing that from the US, you're already at a disadvantage because your sign-up time is at an awkward time for you because it's 8 a.m. for here. And there are people who are at PCbangs that have lightning fast internet, and you might not have that. So it can be really frustrating and really difficult to get your classes. But there is a exceeding quota petition time at the very start of the semester where you can email the professors and say, "Hi, my name is, and I am an exchange student from blah blah blah, and I would like to take your class in blah blah blah. It is important to me that I can take this class because I want to learn about this subject." This mostly works for subjects that are Korean culture or language based, as this is my only semester in Korea, and they'll let you in 9 times out of 10. That is how I ended up getting some of my classes, so that I could have 12 credits both times. So make sure that you're able to get your 12 units somehow. Talk to your advisor if you're having issues. You can always contact them while you're studying abroad, the timing might just be a little bit more awkward for you because you have to work at their time, which might not necessarily be your time. There are some other requirements that are dependent on your status as a US citizen or green card holder, your status as a scholarship holder. So check the eligibility page for more requirements that are more related to you, but those are the requirements that I had. All of the pages on the prospective students page will be useful to you. There's consider your goals, check your eligibility. That's where you find your eligibility. Visit the Global Lounge, which will tell you where the Global Lounge is in case you want to talk to someone in person. Search for programs. This is really, really useful for finding where you want to go and what you want to study. Plan with your academic advisor. That's the first step that you need to do in order to actually study abroad. So just starting out that and letting your advisor know that, hey, I'm looking into study abroad will be helpful in the future. Discuss your plans of studying abroad with family and friends. See what they think. Take their information with a grain of salt. If you really want to go, go. But make sure that you have enough financial backing to be able to go. And if that requires you to make compromises with family, you might have to do that. Apply for funding. There's a Gilman scholarship that will help people who can't afford to study abroad. And there are some other ways of financing your study abroad program that can be found on this apply for funding page. There's a see yourself abroad. I personally didn't do that, but you can do that if you want to. And then finally, apply for study abroad. The search for programs page is really useful if you have a specific field or location you want, because there are drop-down menus for I would like to study in Asia, or I would like to study in specifically the country South Korea, or I would like to study English psychology. That's what I did. Because I wanted to study in South Korea, I just selected country South Korea. There's 2 options for South Korea, Hanyang and SNU. Honestly, my counselor told me I wouldn't be able to get into SNU, so I applied out of spite. But I think you should listen to your counselor, because I almost didn't make it in. Really have a sit-down conversation of, are you telling me I can't go because it's very difficult to get in and you don't want me to raise my hopes, or are you telling me I can't go because it is actually impossible for me to go? You need to ask that question, because they might not give you a straight answer immediately, because they want to tell you what you want to hear and give you reasonable expectations. Don't be like me. Or once you find a location and you find a college that looks interesting or a program that looks interesting, just click on it and a pop-up window will show up and it will say more information, journal advising. There's sometimes a little introduction video on the page that you can watch, and you can scroll down and get more information like program type, credit type, level of study, eligibility, language of instruction, and your coordinator, which will be your lifeline while you're doing the applying process and while you're in your country abroad. The more information button will give you information about academics, location and housing, links of interest, and program details. These are all very interesting and very important things to look at. So make sure you check those out, and then you can go to general advising. You'll need to set up a general advising appointment before you can get an advising appointment with the program coordinator. This general advising is basically just saying, yes, I've looked at all of this information, I'm aware of what it entails, I would like to proceed, and then they'll give you contacts and set you up with a coordinator. You can also go to the general advising with any questions, and they'll be able to answer that if you've committed yourself to go to this program. If you still have questions or you're still a bit wishy-washy, that's where the general advising will come in handy. Like I said, I also suggest talking to your major advisor, your academic advisor, before you start with the study abroad process, just to let them know that you're planning on doing this, to give them a heads up, as you will be needing to discuss a lot of things with them in the future, and it's always good to just give them a good brief, a good summary of what you're doing and what you might need their help with, instead of just dumping it on them all at once. When you are ready to go, you've decided which program you want, you've decided which university you want, you've decided country, everything like that, it's time to apply. The application process can take a long time, so double check when the process opens, the application opens, and when the application closes, and make sure you're able to get all of the things in line before the application closes. And I suggest starting pretty close to when it opens, because some of these universities are first come first serve, whereas some of them you have to apply to get in. Some of the things you'll need to do are looking at the billing and payment policies, making sure you have enough money to study abroad, to fund your life abroad. So I needed to prove that I had enough money in bank accounts, in loans, in parents' bank accounts, so I would not be without money in South Korea. You need to acknowledge the withdrawal policy for exchange programs, basically saying you're allowed to withdraw at any point, but you won't really get a refund of your money that's spent. You're also going to need to look for classes at the host university, at the university that you're going to, that can transfer to U of A and how they'll transfer. And that requires you to look at the course catalog of your college of choice, getting syllabus from the courses that you'd like to take, making sure those courses are taught in English, or if you speak another language, they're taught in that language. But you need to get a syllabus that is in English for the University of Arizona to approve of the credit process. There's a website. I'm not positive of what the website is now. I'm still looking for it, but when I find it, it'll be down in the description. That has a list of all of the colleges and all of the approved programs. That'll be really, really useful for you. There's also a questionnaire about the Pell Grant and whether or not you are able to apply for that. There's a risk and release form. You also need to do a passport scan. And if you're going abroad, you need a passport, which a lot of people might make fun of Americans for not having one of these, but a lot of people don't have passports. So make sure you get a passport, start that process early. You're going to want a passport that expires at least 6 months after your predicted return date. So I'm studying abroad for the 2022-2023 school year. I'm planning on returning to the United States in August of 2023. My passport needs to expire at least 6 months after that date. So my passport should expire at least after February of 2024. This is just to make sure that nothing terrible happens should you get stuck. If you need any help, having that valid passport is really, really important. You also need to read the University of Arizona disability related accommodations, make sure that everything's up to par for what you need. There's also a COVID risk acknowledgement for study abroad. You are in a different country. That country might have different COVID regulations than the United States does, and you need to acknowledge the risk of potentially catching COVID and what those repercussions might be. For Korea, when I came in 2022 in August, you needed to have a negative COVID test before boarding your flight. You needed to have a negative COVID test when you arrived in Korea, and you needed to have your 2 vaccinations and 1 booster. So if you don't have those and you're planning on going to a country like Korea or Japan, you might want to look into getting those. There's also guidelines for searching for independent housing, which I ended up doing. That's how I found my Goshiwon. And there's the actual exchange application, in which you provide a statement of purpose, which is basically saying, this is who I am, this is why I want to study abroad, this is why it will help me, and a sort of CV, this is what I've done, and your transcript saying this is my record, basically like applying to a new college, but this is for an exchange program. The hardest part about this whole process, I think, is finding the courses that you can take that apply for transfer and coordinating everything with your academic advisor and your study abroad coordinator, because they will help you, but they won't give you any answers. So you need to find those for yourself and make sure you're your own advocate so that you can get the study abroad experience that you want. Make sure that the information that you're getting from your university is up to date and that it is in English, or that you can translate it to English, because University of Arizona does not accept anything that is not in English. A lot of the courses that I wanted to take that were on the syllabus or that were on the list last year that I decided, oh, I'd like to take this, and I got approved, were not there when I got here to take. So I ended up having to change my plans, and I had to talk to my coordinator and my counselors to make sure that what I am taking can be applied to my major. Now, as long as you're taking the 12 credits and you have room in your electives courses, this should be no problem. I'm a transfer student, so all of my electives were kind of taken up by other classes that I took at my other college. So it was a little bit difficult for me to find things. It could be different at other colleges, I don't know. That's just my experience. I do know that once you're in Korea and you're studying abroad and you're doing your thing, it's very difficult for University of Arizona to say, hey, no, you need to come back because you're not taking the right amount of credits. So if things go wrong, just know that it might take you longer to finish your degree when you get back home than you might have expected before you started studying abroad. That's it. You also have to choose between a term-long program, a summer program. There's also some winter programs that last for about 2 weeks. I don't know if I would recommend those because you don't have enough time to fully explore the country, but if that's what you can afford and you just want to get out of the country to see what it's like and have that experience, I think that's a good way of doing that. And then there's also the full year, which is what I elected to do. When you're choosing what you want to do, you need to look at financial restraints, program availability, and the climate that you're going to. Korea happens to be very, very humid and hot in the summer and extremely cold in the winter. I thought I could handle it. When you get to -15, -20 degrees Celsius, I'll put whatever that is in Fahrenheit down here, I can't thrive. I can survive. I survived on hot chocolate and pizza, but I can't thrive. The reason I had hot chocolate and pizza is because my Goshiwon is above a Domino's and a Mega Coffee, so I didn't really have to go outside all that long in order to get sustenance. Just check out the weather and check out the culture and think about how long you want to be away from home. I thought, oh, I've been away from home, it'll be fine. I've never spent Christmas alone, and people in Korea don't really celebrate Christmas, at least not the way we do in the States. So I felt extremely lonely during that time, and I would have gone home had I not known that it would get better as soon as school started up again. But it is something to think about. So, that is the application process. 여러분, 이해했어요? 질문이 있어요? 없어요? 질문이 있으면 코멘트 넣어주세요. And everybody, understand? No? Yes? Any questions? If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. And next time, I'll go more into detail about you've applied, you've been accepted, now what? I'll see you guys next time. Bye!